So I was paying for a subscription fee for Elder Scrolls Online, ESO Plus, and I've enjoyed that game for the last year, but there's also things I don't enjoy about Elder Scrolls Online, namely the combat and how brain dead the overworld really is. Then there's other things which I would have to give the game a mixed rating on, like the fact it doesn't have a central trading post and things like that. Not all bad. Overall, it's a nice game, it's a fun experience, and the world is enjoyable to explore. However, is it really worth paying $15 a month for? And the more I've thought about it, the more I've really felt it isn't. But I want to tell myself that it is because I've invested time into it. That's the bottom line. Meanwhile, there's other games that are really respectful of my time and my money, like New World or Guild Wars 2, games where you buy the content of the game and then you play it as you wish, and there is no subscription fee. And then, of course, lots and lots of other games that are not in the MMO genre, which are good games that maybe I want to play, but I haven't gotten around to yet because I've been doing other things. So all things considered, I've really been drifting toward the idea of completely walking away from subscription models entirely in the gaming and MMO space. And that's been kind of hard. It's been hard for me to do that, primarily because when you sign up for a subscription to something, you start to have this idea that you're going to get an amazing value in return. You really fall for the marketing aspect of it. You have this sense of adventure that you're anticipating, and the anticipation of the adventure is in many ways better than the actual experience. And that's a trap, because then you wind up playing devil's advocate all the time. You're saying, well, I'm having a good experience. Even though I don't feel like I'm having a good experience, I know I definitely am having a good experience. Because if I acknowledge that I'm not really having a good experience, then I would also have to acknowledge that I was wasting my time. The interesting thing is we do this with work, with jobs, with careers, with all kinds of stuff like that too. We sink a lot of time and effort into things that maybe are very good for a specific time in our lives, but not necessarily meant to be something that endures forever. But once we've sunk a lot of time into it, then we don't want to acknowledge that maybe there's a better way we could use our time, a better way that we could prioritize our life. And so we lie to ourselves. And then, of course, there's other people that want us to be sold on these things. So we wind up continuing to jump into the trap of appeasing people. Imagine if you're playing a particular game and you're a member of a Facebook community or some other online group, a Discord, something like that, and they say, okay, how's it going? And you chat back and forth, and now you're into this community. Well, then you start realizing, well, this game isn't all that much fun. I don't want to do this. But then you think, well, yeah, but I got a bunch of likes on that post that I made with a screenshot from the game or some different thing like that. So now you're thinking, well, I don't want to quit because I don't want to quit on these people. This is my team. This is my tribe, right? And now you're not really thinking rationally, because the truth is those people don't care if you uninstall this game and never play it again. That's the truth. And those people aren't going to care one way or the other if you spend thousands of dollars on a title that you don't enjoy over the course of a couple decades of your life. Just like all the people who sunk a lot of years into playing World of Warcraft and then they wind up feeling like they wasted their life, because the truth is they didn't enjoy the game. Maybe they did enjoy the game when they were first starting out. And it's not that the game is stupid. It's not that they shouldn't have played the game. It's that they chose not to listen to that inner voice. When they stopped having fun, when they started feeling like this is a chore, this is a game that feels like a job, that they didn't listen. You know, they just kind of kept on powering through, being sucked into that group, being sucked into that feeling of I got to pay for my subscription. I got to have fun. This has got to be like an extension of my real life. This is a huge deal to me. And then they just burned out. But after they burned out and got bored, long after that, they're still playing. They're still forcing themselves to consume this content. And, you know, that's just not healthy. We really are good at kind of lying to ourselves. And sometimes it's important to take a few steps back and really put it in perspective. Why would I pay $15 a month for a subscription to a game when I could have a very similar, if not a better experience in many regards, absolutely free without paying another dime? And if it's because there's a sense of connection to lore or to the game world, do I have to sink thousands of dollars and thousands of hours into the franchise to appreciate a game world? I really don't. Just like I could enjoy the Lord of the Rings, and maybe I listened to the audiobook of the Lord of the Rings, maybe I watched the movies, but that does not mean that I need to live and breathe the Lord of the Rings so hardcore that every day I get up in the morning, all I think about is the Lord of the Rings. If I do that, I'm going to get burnt out because it's not an infinite well of content. It's just a very good story. So going back to the topic of the Elder Scrolls Online, I like the game world. I really, really do. Tamriel is an amazing game world. The story isn't really necessarily all that amazing because there really isn't a story. There's just context. It's all lore, which builds up to you having a better sense of understanding and connection with the world that the game is set in. As far as the story goes, there's not really a whole lot of story because in the end, a lot of the question of how does it all come to an end, that's not really answered. It's really meant to be open-ended because the game is supposed to be more or less open-ended. But there's a lot of cool things you'll learn. The map of the world, all those different things. And the truth is, I can enjoy all that stuff without sinking thousands of hours into the game. For example, if I want to be exposed to Tamriel, I can go play Skyrim, right? And that's a totally affordable experience. In fact, that's what I'm thinking I will do. A little bit at a time, because that seems like a really cool game. A lot of people have really loved that game. Sometimes when we really put things into perspective, we start to realize we don't need to be chained to things as much as we think we do. It's okay to just dabble in something and then say, okay, that's it. I'm going to take a break now. Maybe I'm going to have a souvenir on the shelf. Maybe I'm going to just, have something cool that I take with me from this experience, but that doesn't mean I'm going to live in that experience permanently forever. That can be healthier because in the end, then you're able to actually appreciate what's good about something without being constrained by its problems. But we really struggle with the idea of anything that's not 100% one way or the other. We want to say, I'm going to go whole hog into this, or I'm not going to do it at all. And sometimes there's a middle way where you can find a certain balance and then be happier for it. So don't be tied down to something just because you've been involved in it. And don't feel like if you stop doing something, you're betraying a franchise or you're betraying a trust in some way or you're wasting your time. You can totally enjoy something and then take a break from it or completely stop playing for a while. That's okay. It's okay to not be super into something forever and still be able to say, I really enjoy certain aspects of that. And I'm going to take that experience with me into the future. I'm just not going to continue to live in it every single minute of every day. So good luck with your adventures, whatever game you choose to play, whatever pastime you choose to have. Always make sure that you're having fun and you don't have that nagging sense that your time or your money is being wasted. And if you feel that way, then rethink those things and maybe question whether you should just take a different path. And you might be surprised at how much you can give up and then still have a really great time, a wonderful experience, and not be the worse for it. You just have to stop. You have to disconnect enough to where you can be objective. Good luck on your adventure. Till next time.